know Doctor Who. And if you don't, then you can go.
Hello guys, watching Go.2, and today we're going to do If I Was the Doctor. Now, I would think my Doctor would be like any other Doctor, having a companion and all that stuff, but the main thing I want to talk about is, if I was a Doctor, how would I end my incarnation? Now, I would do something very drastic and very different. So, my companion would get killed off by a Dalek. I would have just defeated all the Daleks, but there was one Dalek left and it killed my companion, and I was in anger and outrage we've just been through a lot throughout this whole adventure, destroying all the Daleks and getting rid of them, and then there's one Dalek left and it kills my companion. She's lying on the slab and I'm crying out and screaming and going, I've had enough. Meanwhile, for the rest of the series, we've had Time Lords trying to break out and trying to call a message. Can they return? Can they return to the universe? This is before, my idea was before Series 12 happened, so you have to acknowledge that, but we could work around it a little bit, so it still kind of works. But anyway, I get so angry, I release, right, Daleks, you lot, back on Earth, now. Kate and Osgood and the unit soldiers like, Doctor, what are you doing? They want a war, we're bringing them a war. I've had enough. The Daleks need to be wiped out, this time forever. The universe would be a better place without the Daleks, and what do I always do? Save the universe. It's time to save the universe one last time. Let's get rid of these Daleks. And the unit soldiers are saying, we can't survive a Dalek attack. Doctor, what are you doing? You're angry, you're outraged, you're not thinking straight. I'm thinking perfectly straight. And he gets a device out and calls the Time Lords. You wanted to try and come back to the universe. Here's only one condition for you. You help me destroy the Daleks. The Time Lords teleport on Earth. So Time Lords and humans are ready for the biggest war in Doctor Who. The Time War Point 2. Humans, Time Lords and Daleks ready to fire at Earth. To be continued for 5 specials. Now, at this point as well, in a later adventure, I touched something that is poisoning me slowly and I am dying from a later adventure. But I never told my companion I was dying, and I'm still dying to this day. Now this war, so in the next time we see it in the specials, I'm slowly dying, and you can see that a lot more throughout the specials with my ill health and me growing older. And yes, and then you can see the war breaking out and destruction. We'd get a reference, the Master would make a cameo and go, I see what you've become, Doctor. You've become everything you thought not to. You've killed so many people now, and this war is only because of you and your anger and your guilt, giving the Doctor something to regret and some more knowledge, and only the Master could tell him off. Humanities have been destroyed, years have gone past. Gallifrey are helping with the devices against the Daleks. The Daleks are killing off people, and then we get a little hologram of the companion. It's giving the Doctor a message from the TARDIS. The Doctor hasn't been in the TARDIS for many years, and if she would ever die, she sent him a message. Hello, Doctor, and don't be alone, and telling him to look after himself. Little did she know he would start a war because of her death, and using her in vain. And the Doctor feels regret and sadness, but also we see him saving people still, but not classing himself as a Doctor anymore. And then we would see the Doctor come towards the end of the war with people being distraught. These 5 specials, him really old and struggling, and having this vaccine to keep him lasting, but he's still dying. And he says he could regenerate, but he refuses to, because he doesn't think he deserves a second life, another life to continue on, and he feels like he should die. Towards the end of the war, he manages to stop the war, but at a cost. He will kill himself to save everyone else, and he does that, and he stops the Daleks, and he's dying, but suddenly gets reminded you can be a Doctor again, you can be persuaded to change, and that's what regeneration is, a new start, a new beginning. And the universe needs a Doctor more than ever to pitch up and patch up all the mistakes you've made in this last incarnation, Doctor. The Doctor walks into the battered old TARDIS and goes, "It's my fault the universe is in this shape. Maybe it's time for me to fix it. And after all, I am a doctor again." He didn't like to call himself a doctor, just like the War Doctor, and holds back the regeneration and says, "I am the Doctor again," and smiles for the first time in ages and regenerates into a new Doctor. And that is how I would end my Doctor. I would like him to have loads of adventures, 4 seasons, like all the Doctors before him, having a normal Doctor adventure, saving the day, being all that. But then, to a point, a breaking point, Time Lords keep calling him, trying to ask to be brought back into the universe. The Doctor is dying because he touched a little thing that poisoned him, that's been poisoning him for ages throughout adventures. He keeps passing out in adventures, and then we later see him hiding it from his companion. His companion and him save the day against the Daleks with Unit, a big old adventure. But then the Dalek kills his companion, and then he is outraged and in anger, and so much you see the Time Lord victorious come out of him, and he creates a war. And then we see these specials. We leave the series and with a cliffhanger of the Daleks coming to Earth, Time Lords and humans having to work together and trying to sort stuff out, and that bickering of why should we listen to these Time Lords, and then having arguments and stuff like that throughout the specials, and then the war happening and Time Lords and humans having to work together, and loads of people get killed in the process of this. The Doctor's getting worn out from war, but also poisoned and dying, and we get to see that break through to the point where we get to see cameos of famous Time Lords working alongside, but also a cameo from the Master. And we get to see a hologram of his companion telling him stuff to make him a decision to end the war. Because most of it, he left the war and didn't want anything to do with it for one special, and tried to escape it even though he created it, but then got brought back into the war to fight on. And then he tried to end it. And the only way he could, destroying all the Daleks, managing to do that at the very end, but the poison's still killing him off, and he accepts it and regenerates, saying he is the Doctor again. He needs to be a Doctor to save the universe. So he respects his incarnation, but he knows he's made bad decisions and is willing to change that with his new body, and swears that he will fix and solve the universe once again. And that's how I would end my Doctor, having adventures, then causing a war by the end of his incarnation, making him regenerate at the end of fixing the war, but at a cost of him making sure he regenerates, because he regrets a lot from what he's done to the end of his incarnation. And yeah, that's how I would end it. That's my story. Hope you enjoyed this weird video of how I would do my last part. Just think of it like the David Tennant era. 4 brilliant series, then a moment of specials, but these specials are actually about war and destruction, of course, on my Doctor. So yeah, that's how I'd end it, and that's how I'd like my era to go if I was a Doctor. How would you making the Doctor not a Doctor anymore for a certain period of time? Do you think that's bad of me for thinking that? But I think that's pretty cool, to be fair. We've seen all this stuff, and then him regretting in a vile action causing a war, which he didn't mean to do. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Don't comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video very soon on the channel. I think it is, oh yeah, it's my favourite music from the show Doctor Who. So there's plenty of videos to come out on the channel. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. Every subscriber will help. So click the bell and subscribe to join us on this journey of a lifetime on Doctor Who. You have a good day, and I'll see you guys for another video very soon.